I'm deciding to do this podcast as a new venture of expressing myself as well as talking about my art, my music, and my work and my animations, etc., music videos. Today, this session will be I will be discussing my upcoming album, of course, but I haven't decided a name for it yet. I have, but I kind of haven't, so it's not set in stone just yet. I'm finishing up the album, and I'm also making more animation works in the making in the future. So I've decided to thus far to name this album "Free the Souls." One of my songs is called "Free the Spirits," but it's basically the same thing. Basically liberating everyone, especially children and men, um, as far as expressing who they really are by nature, their rights, is their birthright, as well as women, of course, their birthright. Everyone should have a right to express who they are and not be demonized for it. And if so, people should have the courage to stand up to firmly to their beliefs. So that's part of the album reason why I did this particular album and what it stands for. And that's why I named it Free the Souls. And my latest songs I've just completed, Origins and Unstoppable, emphasizes that unyielding force and to seek freedom and liberation despite of the odds set against you. I'm currently dealing with a lot of, I guess, issues. One being financial. So it has, I think, for a lot of people, it's been a very challenging moment in time, or just a challenging era in it. Say, so I made this album in hopes of reaching not just healing and reaching myself, but deep within, of course, but to reach other people and know that they're not alone. That um, you're you're not condemned by God or by whatever you decide to believe in, as far as spirituality, divinity, etc. Names really don't. It matters, in the same time it doesn't, because it's either a force of or an essence of life in creation and of benevolence, or is a source of or essence of benevolent, um, condemning and chastising, which people do and use religion for. Not all people, but some people do. So I am countering those type of people because it needs to be, because they're very um, demonizing. They like to traumatize people and divide them and control them. And I feel like this is what is going on, and that's why in this particular time it is very important to fight for liberations and for your rights, because they're slowly trying to take away your freedom of expression, your freedom of how you love and desire, and they have gone overboard with it. They have taken censorship to a new whole level, and it's time for us to reclaim our power. So this is why I created this um, new album, and these songs to it, to shed light on these social issues and to fight in my own way um, our freedom and right to live in our nature and be ourselves, and not live to regurgitate what has been established for us to live by, that goes contrary to our deepest truth. Sometimes sometimes you have to search deep within yourself, past the pain and suffering, to reach um, God within, which is the source of unconditional love and benevolence, the source that shows you by nature and in nature that who you are, how you feel, is not flawed. It's just a part of you. And a lot of people don't, some people haven't come to terms with this still. And that's why there's a lot of people consumed with greed and resentment and obsession over controlling others around them, because they are, I feel like they are consumed with hate and they're seeking help. They just don't know it yet, but they are, because they feel like they have the need to control and reshape others at any means necessary, especially utilizing the laws and religious norms to promote their agenda, which is coming from a place of um, condemnation and wrath, and the wrath of God and whatever. In a sense, even in the form of religion as Christianity that uses that book as a tool, you can see and you can hear and feel the dualities of it, the evil and the good. And it's all about how you use those tools. You can use it to empower, or you can use it to destroy. And you try to destroy from within, which is you're trying to disconnect that person's spirit from the God or benevolent source, the divine being of unconditional love and compassion. And some people equate that to Jesus Christ, but he's an example and embodiment of that. But there's other religions or other figures that you can use throughout history and time that have also exemplified those non-judgmental characteristics that is ideal for living in a society of acceptance and abundance and love for everyone. A place of utopia for everyone to live, and to everyone can respect one another differences. But there are people that are hell bent on trying to rattle and destroy that the goodness of it all by placing their judgment. Those people are in a place of benevolence. They put on a facade that they're coming with good intent, but the truth of the matter is they're feeding into that negativity, which in turn satiates the thirst of an evil entity that yearns for that negative energy, keeping you in a low vibration. The low vibration, it feeds off that more, and it loves it. And those people, unknowingly or knowingly, gives and satisfy that being. You can call it Satan or whoever. It doesn't matter the name. It's just, in the end, it's still just the polarities of this particular existence and how it operates. And at some point and degree, you got to decide for yourself, who are you, or what place are you speaking from or living from the most? No one is perfect. We all are, guilty for judging others, but at the same time, you have to realize for yourself that, hey, I need to pull back and look at it from our perspective before I just jump to conclusions. And I think that's what I know that is what I'm trying to put across with my messages in my music and in my art and animation. That people need to learn some form of forgiveness for themselves and not seeking forgiveness or redemption from other people's outside of them. Once you accept your God within you, Jesus within you, whatever you want to name it, it could be general terms on specific terms. But basically, once you figure that out in yourself, and you not allowing other people's perspectives to stop you from coming to true terms with what happened to you or who you are, then that's when you can fathom all aspects of living, all aspects of love, without resorting to fear and allowing that fear to shape your perspective instead of just getting the whole truth of things when someone tells you who they really are. And I am hinting to children as well as, with their sexuality and, who they are as a person, and involving situations that are deemed taboo. And you know what I'm saying? And because I'm doing this podcast, I'm trying to keep it safe and neutral and let people come to their own realization on their own terms so they can understand where I'm coming from. And I'm coming from a place of compassion and love. Okay? Stop allowing other narratives or media or anyone or any group or institution to dictate how you should live your life. This is what I'm saying. That's why I represent reclaiming your power, because I had to reclaim it for myself. I hated myself for quite some time, like over 3 decades, okay? For my sexuality, for some of the things I viewed or what I stand for as far as love and expression and desire. They do things to try to demonize you or they try to use things to scare you away from your nature. So, they use violence, they use religion, all these different things, these social constructs to sway you from yourself and from your reality of things. Once you can accept, like I said, God within you, you can understand, you can discern when someone has good intentions and when someone is deliberately trying to hurt you or anyone that you love. And even a child can understand this. I understood myself and who I was by the age of 3. Okay. Other events had occurred which also revealed it to me. You have to discern when something is actually a trauma and when it's a revelation. When you can come to terms with all the thoughts and emotions that you tied to the event, you can accept that it was nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with exploring. There's nothing wrong with acting in your nature. And there's nothing wrong with understanding. But society and religion, some people, use those things to manipulate you further away from your nature, further away from the truth that is already declared in your very DNA, in your very moral code. It's already embedded in you. God designed, you were already made this way. You were all from the source of creation, the divinity itself. So this is what I'm saying. Okay? My song in particular, Origins, talks about referencing to Genesis or the beginning of existence, and as well as certain events told in the Bible, which references to people that are liberated, people who are accepting of their desires in full, and the people who want to force order and force people to conform and confine them and to place boundaries. These people who place boundaries, who force things, they are likely to use or to invoke or encourage this wrath of God onto it. Just like when in Sodom and Gomorrah, for example. I feel, because that's what my origins is a part about, is about that particular city. And that particular city was heaven. Because the way that it's described is that everybody just giving into their desires or want they want, and but everybody able to live in respect to themselves. It's not, no one is. I feel like nobody wasn't imposing anything on anyone. It's everyone can accept everyone. People do what they do. They love how they love, and there was no judgment. God, this malevolent being, war god, blood god, whatever you want to call it, came in and decided to destroy everything because he deemed that it's not worthy and that it's fornicating by this definition. But in a sense, you basically just hate to see the fact that people are living in their truth and high vibrations, and you cannot eat away at them because they're so high in love and compassion. So you cause dire destruction upon this city because you didn't have control over it. Another example is Genesis. The same thing. The light bearer, before anything come into existence, there was just darkness. Darkness, or say evil. Well, you can't equate darkness to evil necessarily, okay? Because the truth, sometimes the dirtiest of truths, the truest of truths, is hidden in darkness. You have to go search deep within to find God again, to find yourself, the divine, okay? So the brightest of lights, the dimmest of lights, is hidden deep within the darkness. The darkness is like the cocoon, okay? It wants to be perceived as the origins, but the light has always been there. The light, the source of life, has always been there. It had to realize itself into existence. Basically, it had to germinate throughout the darkness. Okay. So when that happened, life, I feel like life was already there. It just, everything was shrouded in darkness. Nothing didn't know of itself. So when illuminated, everything was realized, revealed. Because when like they say, everything comes to light. The truth is revealed into the light. Like everything is just there now. Okay? So I feel like the benevolent being or entity wanted control. And he saw opportunity to feed. So to keep everything in such a ignorant state so it can constantly feed off of it, it only wanted to inform you of so much. Because you gotta wonder, if this God was so benevolent, omnipotent, all being, or whatever, all knowing, why would he not get rid of that tree of knowledge or fruit of knowledge, whatever you may want to call it? Apparently, it was already there. He just wanted control. A being of light, call it Lucifer, because they said Lucifer and Satan is two different things. Lucifer is like the light bearer. He's one to want to enlighten as well. So he informed the first two humans of mankind and enlightened them. They saw the whole truth of everything, but because of fear, they couldn't, and they know that there's still their God, that malevolent force, that force of wrath. He's capable of doing good and blessing too, but it comes with a price, and you have to represent him at all times and destroy nations that oppose him or don't embrace him as their God. So, like I said, it's a war God. But I can go on and on. I mean, that's just two examples of what I was referencing to in Origins, as well as I referencing to Jesus being the Savior, the rebellion. He was the one to empowered mankind more to step away from the previous teachings of seeking clergymen, seeking people for retribution, seeking for forgiveness outside of oneself, and searching through a God outside of themselves to seek forgiveness and to dictate how happy or how sad a person can be, or when they're deserving of a blessing. Instead, search for the power within, and that's what Jesus stood for, through love and compassion without voice. His healing power within himself radiated outward and encouraged other people to search within themselves and to heal themselves and to want better for themselves. They gravitated toward him because he was not a being of wrath. He did not have to, persuade people through fear to join him. They wanted to do that of their own volition. So this what makes him an ideal person to be like in this society and in the world. That's one positive thing I could take from Christianity is Jesus. Whatever you want to call him, call a different name. Yeah. But it's just the spirit of that essence of that Holy Spirit is what can drive even the most evilest of beings away. If you come to terms with the wholeness of your spirit, of your internal, because you are an internal being yourself. You cannot be created or destroyed, nor could Jesus. And he has shown that when he resurrected. It's all metaphor and symbolisms, okay? It can mean literally or metaphorically. It doesn't matter. Because he showed his rising was showing that you cannot be destroyed. That's basically all it really means. I'm sorry I talked a long time, but I had to get this out. This album is deep for that particular reason. I did it. This is a spiritual album. Hope you guys enjoy. I hope you got something out from it all. And continue to heal. I am myself. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good day or night.